Good morning and welcome, friends. Today we're going to talk about how to bring God's and Guru's grace into the workplace. So let's stand, if you all could stand with me, and we'll start with just a couple of energization exercises. Let's do the double breath. Single arm recharging, lifting up weights. To the side. Bring the palms together. Let's close our eyes. Feel the divine presence flowing within us. Let's offer prayer. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, friend, beloved God, Guru Preceptors, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Laidi Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Guru Dev, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. Awaken our consciousness and help us to be ever more in attunement with thee. Om Shanti, Shanti. Now stay where you are and just with your eyes closed, feel these words flowing through your body, mind, and soul. These words of masters, focusing at the spiritual eye. I think my life to flow. I know my life to flow. From brain to all my body to flow. Streaks of light do shoot through my tissue root. The flood of life in vertebrae doth rush through spine in froth and spray. The little cells are drinking. Their tiny mouths are all shining. The little cells are drinking. Their tiny mouths are all shining. Om Shanti, Shanti. Let's do a chant and brief meditation together now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om, Om, Let's meditate briefly. Feel a blessing now from God, all the gurus, entering your whole being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome, friends. Today is a wonderful topic because everyone is going from home into their seva, into their work, be it at corporate, be it in your home and your chores there or anywhere. We want to bring God into that place where we're serving every day. After we meditate, we have that transition time with our breakfast, with our walk, with our talks of Swamiji, our master, or whatever we do for that day. And then we need to go into our seva for the day. Now, the first thing is getting there. Now, I know a lot of people are working from home these days, but getting there is going to be an important thing and some time. And how do we go to work? I mean, if we travel in a taxi, if we're on Ola, Uber, if we're driving ourselves, we need to try to keep God consciousness with us. Maybe we chant Om Guru, maybe we put on music of Ananda radio on, maybe we have a picture of Master. We should have pictures of the gurus in the car. I told a story the other day about a man whose car was demolished after he had taken his family out. He had parked and was walking off. And he had a car protector there. And he felt, oh, the gurus are protecting us, not necessarily the car. And so take with you that vibration from meditation into into however you travel. I remember I used to, in the early days, now I've been here for a while, but in the early days there were a lot of bicycle rickshaws in Gurgaon. You may remember those. And I would travel, I mean, short distances with those. And boy, that was haphazardous. I mean, there were cars coming around and other bicycle rickshaws, and it was pretty dangerous. And I would carry a picture of Lahiri Mahashaya with me, and I would just be praying to Lahiri Mahashaya. And one time it was so interesting. I was there on the rickshaw, and then I saw there was next to me a luxury car, someone in a beautiful car, and then on the other side of me was someone riding a camel. And then just down the road was somebody on an elephant. And I thought, this is going to be very interesting traffic. And so be prepared as you go that God is protecting you. God is with you. Chant His name. Swamiji said that he was going somewhere once, and it was kind of a dangerous section of San Francisco. And actually, he was on foot then, but he said, it was kind of a low vibration area. And he said he would just, in his mind, was chanting Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, and just feeling himself that he was completely enveloped in that vibration. And then when you go to work, when you get to work, take with you the ideas, the inspiration, the thoughts that you have. I mean, every day, think of something fresh, something new, something interesting, something to share at work. We shouldn't go just kind of en route, and we should be thinking always creatively, how can I make things better? I remember so many times sitting with Swamiji in meetings, and his was the best meetings because he was just so inspired. I mean, every moment he was inspired, and he would ask us, well, what do you all think? And to say, no, you don't have any thoughts, that wasn't a good answer. And to have a negative thought wasn't a good answer either. I remember once we had been five hours before he went in to serve, and or he would put on his office door, in conference, meaning he was in conference with Divine Mother. And so people would say, his coworkers, they would say, employees would say, how can you spend so much time? We have so much to do. He said, I wouldn't be able to do my work without spending that time with God. He would come into the meetings and point out, okay, that's a problem. Okay, this is what we should do. Okay, let's go in this direction. Whereas all the other people would be debating and going over and over and around in a circle, he would say, no, that's the solution right there. And that's how we need to be. We need to be solution-oriented. How can we be solution-oriented? You have to get your consciousness in the superconscious level. And meditation does that. Then you take that to your job, your seva, and then you know, these are the things I need to do. I remember Swamiji was just so fluid that way. He had so many people that he was teaching, and then he was doing, he was always writing a book, it seemed, or he was writing music, and then, or he was giving lectures, but he just had these wonderful thoughts, and I love living in the realm of ideas. It's such a wonderful place to live. If you can uplift your consciousness, raise your antenna. Master said that those thoughts are not individually, but they're universally rooted. You can catch those thoughts and those inspirations, and you can land them, bring them down to earth. I remember talking to one of our members. Some of you may remember Tushti, a wonderful soul. She actually started our Ananda Yoga programs here in India. And so Tushti and I were meeting one day, and it was we were talking about her doing one yoga class. And so we were discussing that, and and from just we had meditated together, we prayed before that meeting that we just had, that little meeting. And then, you know what came from that prayer and meditation? All Ananda Yoga, the whole Ananda Yoga course came out of that time, because we were so inspired. We stayed for hours, just, we should do this, why don't we do this? Forget about one class, we need a whole yoga program all around India. Now that came because we were inspired, because we had meditated, because we were in consciousness with God. And this is how we should serve. And I remember another wonderful story of the Hansa Mandir. Some of you have been to Ananda Village in America. And those fellows who were building the temple, they got to the point where they were trying to figure out how to build the roof as Swamiji wanted. And Swamiji wanted the roof to be like curved, like it was a soaring Hansa, like a bird flying. And these fellows didn't know what to do, so they tried and tried, and they couldn't come up with it. You know what they did? They sat down and meditated. And what happened? A car drove up, and a man gets out, and he says, what are you fellows doing here? And they said, oh, we're trying to figure out how to build this roof. And he said, I know how to build that roof. I'm probably the only person in this whole county that knows how to build that roof. And isn't that a wonderful idea, example and story, how if you get magnetic, Divine Mother sends you answers, people, different circumstances that help you, ideas, insights, and they all come. And this is what happened then. And the next thing to do is be ready to work hard. I know people that just sit around, when's the next cup of chai coming, or giggling all day, and it's just not the way to put out energy. And I worked in the Sangha office in America, and everybody was completely focused. I remember one time, Jyotishji, he and Deviji were our supervisors, so to speak, and Jayaji was in that office, Devarshiji, many different ones who you know, and I was doing the Kriya Sangha. I was guiding the Kriya Sangha there then. And I just had one idea after another. I just felt like I was just, like Swamiji used to say, sitting on a volcano erupting, and I was just so inspired. We had tapes in. Let's get the tapes out. Let's get the booklets out. Let's get Kriya reviews. Let's get the Kriya retreats. Let's get the Kriya seclusion. Call the Kriya bonds. I just couldn't stop. And so one day, Jyotishji calls me in his office, and he's very stern looking. He says, now, Dhyana, we can't afford all these ideas. And I said, you may as well give my job away. I can't help myself. And he said, just keep going then. And isn't that something? You should just have so many ideas bubbling up and be ready to just keep implementing them. Bring them into manifestation. Bring those things out of the ether and ground them. And as you do, you find that there's so many creative ideas around. Somebody who says, I don't know, my God, are they meditating? Are they a Kriya bond? Somebody says, I don't know. There's so many answers around. And I remember one time we were creating in India the last of those Kriya booklets. There's a set of 8 or 9 of them. You all have seen them who are Kriya bonds. And so Jayaji and I were doing it. Jayaji did the editing of Swamiji's words on Kriya, and then my job was to get the covers on, get the right pictures, make it, and make sure the booklet came out. And so Jayaji had finished his job, he gave it to me. So I went out, got somebody with a camera and took a picture of, actually at that point it was one of the members. And so, and I'm telling you, I loved that booklet. I just thought, this is going to help so many Kriya bonds. I can't remember what topic it was, but every one of them helped. And so I had the booklet and I got it all ready and got it done and got, 2,000 copies of that book. I was just so happy about it. And so then I get word from Swamiji from Italy, he was in Italy, through Shivani, Lucky, Nayaswami Shivani, that Swamiji doesn't like the cover. And I just went, what does it matter what the cover looks like? In my mind, of course I didn't say that to Swamiji. It's the booklet that matters. Who cares about the cover? And so I wrote Swamiji a long email, all the reasons why I had 2,000 copies of that. I just couldn't change it. Isn't it okay? The cover, I went on and on. What happened? Swamiji never wrote me back. And every day he was not writing me, I was going, oh my God, I'm out of tune. And so then 2 weeks, maybe it was 1 week, but it wasn't less than that. I was waiting and waiting, he just didn't write. I finally decided I need to write him and change my attitude and get energy to change the cover. So I wrote back and I said, Swamiji, we can change that cover. I'll do it myself. Here's some other options. Pictures of Master, photos of Master. Please choose the one you think is appropriate. 5 minutes it took for Swamiji to write me back. 5 minutes. He was waiting for me to say, I'll do it, instead of, I tell people as a joke, but I probably will end up doing it. I'm writing this new book, the Book of Excuses. And everybody I can't do it. Why I can't do it? This won't work. It won't work. And Italy, ma è difficile. Oh, it's so difficult. But Swamiji didn't want. He said, get the job done. So we recovered all the booklets, all 2,000 books. I'm telling you, that was a big job. But that taught me and that I have to put out more energy. Now what happened after that? Many more booklets, just one after the other, came out because I was at the level where I could do service in the right way. And that was the whole thing. And I remember another really hilarious story to me, and I'm sure some of you were involved in that, is that the Gurgaon Center made a CD. This was the days of the CDs. And someone had said, oh, you're chanting so beautiful, you should make a CD. So the person gave us even a donation to make the CD. So I might have practiced not many times, 2, 3 times maybe. So then we go to the studio, and there was like at least 20, if not more, people. And everybody was so excited. We sang our hearts out. I mean, for me, that was the best kirtan I ever attended. But it was in front of some really, really good microphones. So people were chanting, and others on the harmonium, and the kirtals, and the tabla. And so we just thought, this is fantastic. This is going to come out so wonderful. And so we leave, and I was just floating out of that studio. I just felt so uplifted from the chanting. So then I had to go out of town somewhere. So I came back, and it was 3, 4 days. So I called the man who was head of the recording office, and I said, the studio, and I said, so how did it come out, the CD? And he went, yes. And I didn't understand what he meant. So I said, well, how does the tabla sound? Did it sound good? He says, yes. I said, well, what about the harmonium and the cymbals? Did they sound good? He said, yes. He was so vague, but he kept saying yes. I said, what about the voices? Is it all blending? Yeah. So then Ashish and I went down to the studio. And we were still very encouraged. So we were sitting there, and he played. We asked the man to play the cuts for us. So he plays the first one. And I look at Ashish and I said, now, does that sound good to you? It doesn't really sound good to me. He says, don't worry, Dhanaji. Let's just hear the next one. So he said, play the next one. He plays the next one. I turned to Ashish and said, I mean, that doesn't really sound good. Don't worry, play the third one. After the third one, I look at the man and I said, this sounds terrible. And he said, yes. And he said, I've been trying to tell you all along. This is the wrong group of people. Get 4 people and chant with them. You brought all these people you have to redo. So we had to go back again. And we spent 3 days over and over and over that just to make that CD. But otherwise, it wouldn't have come out. You have to lift the energy and keep moving. And then what happens? At that point, Divine Mother steps in. And that's the grace. That CD came out beautifully. That roof came out beautifully. Swamiji's 150 books and music came out beautifully. And I asked Swamiji once, because we were in Guru Kripa, you may remember that house, and Swamiji was, he was writing the Bhagavad Gita at that time here in India. And you could just feel that there was a lot of grace in that house. You felt presences. And we asked Swamiji, we said, because he said, Master is giving me this book. He's writing it through me. And you certainly could feel Master's vibration. So one day we asked Swamiji, is Master here in this house? And he said, yes. He said, yes. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, he was just in this consciousness of his guru. If we can bring the grace, then he's with us. He goes with us. Who are the ideas? People say, that's my idea. That's not your idea. I thought about that. I see this with people. It's so wrong. I mean, these ideas are there. And you catch yourself when you see you have the idea, and the next person, you had the same idea at the same time. And you know, it's not one person's idea. And then when Divine Mother steps in, everything goes just wonderfully. But you have to earn it. You have to be magnetic. You have to have willingness, energy. You have to put out the energy to make it work. And finally, then she steps in. I remember the final story of Swamiji in Ananda village years back. I think it was the 70s or so. He was about to give a Sunday satsang, but then he got a kidney stone attack. And this was a Sunday morning, and he said it was terrible pain. And he was just like reeling from the pain. And the time was passing. He was supposed to go in 2 hours, and 1 hour came, and he said he didn't want to pray for himself. But he said, I prayed to Divine Mother, this is the thing, if you want, not I want, if you want me to give the satsang, you're going to have to take this pain away. And he said, instantly, I saw Swamiji myself just before he passed away. He told us the story again. He said, instantly, just like as if you were just pass your hand like that, the pain went all away. And it was replaced by joy. Isn't that wonderful? He said, I went to give the service, but I was so filled with joy I still couldn't talk. Isn't that beautiful? And Jayaji said, when Swamiji told us that story again, Jayaji said, Swamiji, I was there that day, and you were just so blissful you couldn't really say anything. And so put out the energy and let Divine Mother come in and let her take charge of your life and your seva. Let's end now with these words and an affirmation, and then I'll do a little bit of an arati. Master's words, remember that opportunity in life comes by creation, not by chance. It is created by you, either now or in the near or distant past. If you haven't opportunity now, create it by your own will, which is divine will, and it shall come to you. It never comes of itself or through good luck. Now I'll do a little arati here, since we have that altar here. And I'll sing Sri Ram Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Let's do the affirmation now that all of Ananda worldwide is doing in these days. Please repeat out loud and then more and more quietly than mentally. Heavenly Father, Thou art present in every atom, every cell, every corpuscle, every particle of nerve, brain, and tissue. I am well, for Thou art in all my body parts. Heavenly Father, Thou art present in every atom, every cell, every corpuscle, every particle of nerve, brain, and tissue. I am well, for Thou art in all my body parts. Heavenly Father, Thou art present in every atom, every cell, every corpuscle, every particle, every nerve, brain, and tissue. I am well, for Thou art in all my body parts. Heavenly Father, Thou art present in every atom, every cell, every corpuscle, every particle of nerve, brain, and tissue. I am well, for Thou art in all my body parts. Heavenly Father, Thou art present in every atom, every cell, every corpuscle, every particle of nerve, brain, and tissue. I am well, for Thou art in all my body parts. Now mentally, Heavenly Father, Thou art present in every atom, every cell, every corpuscle, every particle of nerve, brain, and tissue. I am well, for Thou art in all my body parts. Let's rub the hands together now. Feel the divine power flowing through the hands. Now rub your forearms, magnetizing them even more. Rub the hands again. Lift them up as we chant Om, spreading the light to everyone, everywhere, in the whole world. Close with Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat. See a circle of light all around you. Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Have a wonderful day. God bless you all.